Whew, I'm still kind of out of breath because I just did those push-ups, but woo. So here's what this video is actually about. So in my life as an independent creative entrepreneur, I have encountered many situations that if I only had um, certain lessons, I would have avoided situations that caused me to lose money, opportunity, time, resulted in uh, bad breakups, professional and personal. And yeah, I've had to sit with these really brutal lessons in my life, and the best thing that I knew how to do was to turn them into principles. And now the good thing is that these principles that are rooted in these very hard lessons from before, now I use these principles to actually uh, guide me through my life and work. And I have to say that this approach has helped me to avoid lots of challenging circumstances. And many of these circumstances can actually be avoided just by having certain principles by which you operate in both life and work, in your personal life and in your professional life as well. So I'm going to share three of these principles with you today and explain how I got there and how I use them in my life and work to avoid gnarly situations. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's the first thing. Character is destiny, and chaos is contagious. Let me explain what I mean. Character is destiny is a phrase I heard a few years ago. It's from this Greek philosopher whose name I can't remember right now, but he says character is destiny, and what he means by that is essentially how you are is based on who you are. Meaning, if you are like how you do business, how you operate within the world, the and in particular he says destiny. So the outcomes that you have in your life are a direct result of who you are as a person. So if you are a dishonest person, then you're going to have outcomes in your life that reflect dishonesty, right? Or more practically speaking, if let's say you are a disorganized person, or someone who's late all the time, or someone who's kind of lazy and sloppy, then how you do business is going to be lazy and sloppy and late and lackluster and all of those things. And I know the second part of it, which is what I've added onto it, is chaos is contagious. And this is so important. Let me tell you something. This one, if I had known this, if I had heard this and really calcified it in my perspective, in my younger years, oh my gosh. Oof. I would have avoided so many dangerous situations and people. Car- um, Chaos is contagious. Think about that. If someone is a chaotic person, if they can't get their life together, if they're always in drama, if there's always some kind of crazy situation that's happening in their life, if the way that they keep their house, they can never find their keys, if they can never find anything, if they're always forgetting something, you go to pick them up and you're driving someplace and they go, oh no, I forgot my whatever, we have to go back. And this is some like how they always are, this sort of chaotic way. The way that they do business is going to be that way, and their relationships are going to be chaotic, and their life is going to be chaotic. And if you hang around that person, or you do business with that person, or you form any kind of a relationship with that person, whether it's a friendship or a business partnership, or this is somebody on your team or whatever, it's going to infect your entire relationship with them and infect the entire space. If you have a client, I can tell you this as a freelancer. If you have a client who is very disorganized, and enough of your clients are disorganized, then your life is going to end up being disorganized, because you're going to be suffering their lack of organization, and and um and as a result, you, even if you consider yourself to be an organized person, your life is going to end up being disorganized simply because everything around you is like that. So let me show you how I apply this, right? And how you apply this has to be ruthless. This is the other part of it. It's not enough to just observe this and go, oh, character is destiny and chaos is contagious, and this is something I know. No, 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 no. You actually have to apply this in a practical way, and in many ways, it's very simple, but it's not easy. So let me give you an example of this. I got a call the other day, a couple of weeks ago, from a really, really big bank in my country, and they were having some conference or some whatever, and they wanted a speaker for. They wanted someone to speak on a particular topic, which actually is right in line with my work, and it's the kind of thing that's a good opportunity. It would look good on my in my portfolio, my resume, whatever. It's something I could put on my website. It'd look really nice and add some credibility and whatever, um, and be a good, I guess, networking opportunity and all of these things. So in principle, it was pretty good, but the lady who called me, the organizer, oh yeah, yeah. First of all, she called me on a Sunday morning, which is never a good sign, and I could just hear the frantic, anxious energy in her voice. Because, by the way, this was super late notice. She's calling me days before the event. And it's this whole, oh my God, I forgot. Someone on the committee was supposed to call you. And the minute I hear a committee, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Anything that has a committee anywhere near it, run away. Um, I don't remember where I heard this, that a camel is a horse designed by a committee. That's a very real thing. The minute you see someone has a committee, a board, or whatever it is, just go, oh yeah, yeah, these are guys. This is a mess. So someone on the committee was supposed to contact you, and so on, so on, so on, whatever, whatever. Um, the event is this date, and this is the thing that we're gonna do, and it was just so, like, every she didn't have clear information. She was asking me lots of vague questions. Um, it was just a mess. So I politely declined, and I mean, I knew from the first few seconds of the call that this was going to be a no, just from the anxious energy on the phone. It immediately signaled to me there's chaos, and I am, like, the way I apply this principle is so ruthless. I don't even want to even if it's just for me to spend a couple of hours to do a presentation or something. I don't even want to be near you, because for the rest of that week I'm gonna have to be responding to your chaos now. Like, you're gonna be needing things from me at the last minute. I'm gonna have to sort of make so many concessions just to accommodate that person's chaos, that it's gonna end up making my own life chaotic. And yeah, so definitely, uh, the way that people are, their character is going to affect how they do things, how they do business, how they form relationships, how they are with you, and it's also going to reflect in their outcomes, and it reflects in your outcomes as well. And it's also contagious. That's the thing about it. It catches, and it's a slow creep. It's the kind of thing where you may be someone who has your life totally together, and you may think, okay, I'm just doing business with this person. It's just a project, or it's just someone who I'm working with for a certain time. And if they are disorganized, that's their business. No, 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 no. It's also your business. It's going to become your business very, very soon, and you're not going to realize when. So principle number one is character is destiny, and chaos is contagious. And so avoid chaotic people at all costs. Avoid chaotic characters at all costs. Okay, second principle is a classic, but it's a classic for a reason. Time is of the essence. And somebody who wastes time wastes life. People often say that time is money. Time is not money. Time is life. It's called a lifetime, right? So your life is measured in time. And when people waste time, what they don't realize they're doing is they're actually wasting life itself, your very life essence. And let's talk a little bit about what I mean by wasting time. I don't mean going for a long walk with your dog on a Sunday morning, right? If especially it's going to be in nature and you get to bond and spend time. I don't mean sitting around and having a nice time with your friends, going for a beer or a drink with your friends, because that's building a connection and a bond, especially if they are quality people. What I mean is people who are disrespectful and wasteful of time. It's the person who's always late, right? I don't just mean like, I mean, everybody gets to be late a couple of times in life. Things happen. I mean the person who is characteristically late in a way that it's obvious that that whatever they have going on in their own life is one thing, but they're also unaware or they don't care or they're just negligent or whatever of the impact that that has on other people's time. If it's a meeting, for instance, this is one of the things like, for instance, in work, I see this all the time. People who have meetings without an agenda. What are you doing? You've called a bunch of people together to give their time to whatever the task is and you don't have a clear agenda. So we're just kind of circling the runway and we're kind of never landing the point. So something that could have been dealt with in a half an hour now takes 2 hours. And now everybody's tired and everybody the rest of your day is going to be a little bit more affected because some people are not going to be able to recover from a 2 hour sort of time dump and like waste of their time. Other people are going to have to work a little bit harder, push different things around, you know. People who, for instance, if like you agree to meet with a person at a certain time, they don't realize you have sort of scheduled the rest of your day, like the earlier parts of your day, around the fact that you've had to leave at a certain time, traffic is takes a certain time, whatever, to get there at a certain time. And now this person is an hour late, and this is how they are all the time. That person has to go. So there's like a few practical ways that you can do this. I tend to be kind of ruthless, so there are actually people who have cut off simply because they waste my time. And I say simply, but it really isn't simple. It's when I've come to notice that, oh, you have a disrespect not of your own, not just of your own time, but of my time as well. You're out. And what that means is you don't have to cut every single person off. But what I do is I put limitations on people. So there's some people who I don't meet up in person anymore with. I'll take a call and it'll be a half an hour and it'll be for a specific time when I've done everything else. And, you know, I sort of prioritize you way down at the bottom of the list. But I'll take a call from you. That's okay. That's fine. So simply, I when I notice that there are people who are disrespectful of time, I go, okay, fine, that's your business, but I'm not going to allow you to waste my time. So I have to put a limitation, and that limitation may seem ruthless, and indeed, many people have to kind of experience a sense of distance, and it feels like I'm sort of cutting them off or I'm not really talking to them. And it is true, but it's not out of malice. It's simply because I cannot allow you to waste my time, aka my life. That's literally my life force, my life energy. And in fact, I'm so ruthless about this that even to explain this to some people would take too much more of my time. Like that person has already wasted enough of my time. I can't even give you an extra 5 minutes to explain why I'm no longer gonna engage with you in the same way. Because I see time as so precious that I simply cannot abide someone who's disrespectful of time. So that's my second principle, and I'll tell you, I apply this in personal life and also in my work life, and it saves me a lot of headache. I guarantee, because someone who is negligent or disrespectful of time To me, that indicates a whole lot of other problems that I don't want anything to do with. So it's kind of like a nice signal once I see, oh, this person is a time waster. I don't really care about any of your other qualities, because it doesn't matter how talented you are, how much money they're paying, um, whatever. It doesn't matter what other good qualities they have. That's one of those things where you could have like 99% of something, but the 1% that's missing is enough to topple the entire boat. And I see time wasting as one of those things, that it doesn't matter how many good qualities you bring to the table. If you're disrespectful of time, it's something that everybody can potentially suffer from, so you can't stay on board. I'm sorry. um, and that's just how I operate. And I'll tell you, it saves me so much time, and also headache and complication and bad situations with people. So think about it. Okay, so the third principle I'm going to share with you is one that took me many years to learn, but when I finally got it, oh my gosh! And it's actually related to the first two, and it's this: not my fault, still my responsibility. Very simple, but so powerful. Not my fault, still my responsibility. As I said before, I have spent many years as a creative entrepreneur, and I find myself in lots of, independent gig type situations. And actually, this applies regardless if you have a 9 to 5, you own a business. Um, this is something that you can apply in literally every single circumstance, especially one where you find yourself in a leadership position, like I often do. If you are in a family, if you run a family or household, literally any circumstance that you find yourself in, if you adopt the mindset, this, whatever it is, may or may not be my fault. And by the way, sometimes it is your fault, but it may or may not be my fault. But regardless, it is still my responsibility. So, no matter what is happening around you, if you're in a job that's not going well, if you run a business and things are going, if it's going belly up, if you have a client that's causing a lot of trouble in whatever way, if you're in a relationship that's going south, um, or in if you're in trouble in your personal finances, if it's your mental health, if it's your physical health. Many people have physical health issues that are legitimately not their fault. They may be genetic. Guess what? It's still your responsibility. So what does that mean? It means not blaming other people, even if it's their fault, because blaming them is not going to do anything. Instead, when you think it's not my fault, but it's still my responsibility, you can quickly dismiss the first part of it. In fact, I don't even ask whose fault it is anymore. The only time I may need to ask whose fault something is if it's a situation where I may need to make some type of a personnel change, or make like a critical decision. I may have to examine the the source of the problem. But usually, once I encounter a problem, I don't even ask whose fault it is or what the catalyst of it is before I just immediately go into solution mode, because solving the problem is more important than worrying about who caused it in the first place. You can worry about that afterwards, but usually the longer you spend worrying about whose fault something is, that's that's what causes people to be inactive. And you see this so often in teams and organizations, families and relationships, where people sit around and they talk about, well, it's that person's fault because they forgot this, or they were late, or they got this, or they didn't do what they're supposed to do, or they did whatever it is. And you go, yeah, fine. But what are you going to do about it now? What's your responsibility? Do you sometimes it, you may have to leave the circumstance altogether, because hey, no, it may not be your fault that the circumstance is how it is, but it's affecting you now. So it's now your responsibility. You have to change it. This is why, for instance, um, in my previous examples, I'm so ruthless with people who waste my time, because all right, cool, that person is a time waster and that's their character. But but if I am continuing to allow them to waste my time, I'm now a time waster. I'm now the one wasting my own time. And I can't allow that to happen because it's my responsibility. My time and my life is entirely my responsibility. So even if there's somebody else who's doing something that's affecting that, it's my responsibility how I deal with that. And let me tell you, it feels kind of embarrassing that it took me so long to to really understand this, but I'm telling you, once I did, whoo, it completely changed my life. It changed how I operate with everything, and it makes it so much easier to make difficult decisions. So that's the thing about principles, right? Is that a solid principle, and I could do another video about like this, like how do you know when you have a good principle in place? But one of the things is that you end up having to make difficult decisions. If you don't have to make difficult decisions, you don't have very strong principles. And that's another thing I've come to realize over many years. Good, solid principles, sometimes also called boundaries or rules, mean difficult decisions. Someone once said to me many years ago that being a responsible and effective adult means becoming comfortable with having difficult conversations and making difficult decisions. And this principle of it's not my fault but my responsibility, it allows me to deal with those difficult decisions so much better because I can go, oh yeah, this is a really, really tough decision I have to make. I really don't want to have to cut this person off. I really don't want to have to let this person go. I really don't want to have to move on from this circumstance or whatever it is. Um, but because I know that even that regardless of who is doing what, the ultimate responsibility is mine. That makes it a little bit easier for me to go, okay, I don't want to do this, but it's my responsibility. My life is my responsibility. So I have to make this choice. I'm going to have to say goodbye to this person. I'm going to have to limit my time with them. I'm going to have to change my relationship with this person. I'm going to have to say no to potentially good opportunities or seemingly good opportunities. Um, I may have to set a boundary with someone that may mean a difficult conversation. Um, or I may have to let somebody down. I may have to disappoint someone. I may have to say something that may make someone feel some type of way. I'm sorry, but I'm simply operating on a sense of responsibility. And when you think about this word responsibility, you think more about the greater good for all. Responsibility is about making a choice that's going to result in the greatest possible outcome for everyone involved. Um, and so it's just a really grown up way of operating. So these are three things that have definitely changed my life in profound ways, and I hope they've changed yours too.